Nets Kingdom.
Fuck Trap House Mob. I'm back. To the top, I'ma make it. Niggas just can't take it. To the top, I'ma make 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 it. Niggas just can't take it. Yeah.
Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy AJ. I'm here with Cypher. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Nest Kingdom 1. So today we're going to talk about Cam Thomas, man. We're still waiting for Cam Thomas. Right now is August 24th, and we still haven't gotten news on Cam Thomas. He's probably going to take the qualifying offer, but today we're going to talk about if the Nets go the opposite direction, because they could go the opposite direction and trade Cam Thomas in a sign and trade. You know, things could not work out. You know, the Nets could move on and say, you know what, Cam, you know, we'll give you your money, but we're going to trade you somewhere else where you'll be happy. And, another team could eat that contract up. So today we're going to talk about 3 teams that could be possible for Cam to be traded to: the Pistons, the Grizzlies, and the Bucks. So I've started off with the Pistons. I know like Jaden Ivey was talked about briefly. I think Scoop reported it early about, keep an eye on Jaden Ivey and Cam Thomas talks. But what would your ideal trade scenario for the Pistons? And if, let's say, the Pistons called and Cam Thomas trade would work out?
Okay, I mean, I'll start off with this. There was never really any rumblings of Cam Thomas for Jaden Ivey. What happened was Brett Siegel of Clutch Points put out a report saying that the Pistons might have been interested in dealing Jaden Ivey. And mysteriously, coincidentally, at the same time, Bovita Sports put out the betting odds for Cam Thomas being on the Pistons and saying the Pistons were like the most likely team. So, fans just put 2 and 2 together and were like, this would be interesting.
Yeah, I think because Jaden Ivey's been on the trading block for a little bit. I mean, he had that leap last year. His catch and shoot got a lot better, and people used to the first thing Pistons fans would say was oh, he can't play. Jaden can't play with Cade. Cade can't play with Jaden. There was that issue. So I thought the Pistons were going to move off him until he looked better off the ball this year, and he took that little leap. So yeah. What do you think the ideal package would be? Do you think it's? I don't think it would be. You think it would be a straight up, or you think there'll be some more compensation in there?
Okay, so here there are actually 2 scenarios where I could see it happening. Okay, so Cam Thomas, great scorer, excellent scorer, good off ball player. But I believe he shot 44% on catch and shoot threes, 2 seasons ago. Last year he didn't shoot so well, but smaller sample size. He was excellent on pull up threes. I'd say here are the 2 trades I could envision. And why the Pistons would do this is they take a medium risk, high reward move on Cam Thomas and get a 24, 25 point per game scorer. Hope he improves as a passer. And that is Cade's co-star. Excellent isolation player in the half court. Something that the Pistons need a little help with.
Yeah.
The trade would be sign and trade for Jaden Ivey. Cam would get 4 years, $80 million. Increasing, and Nets would get Jaden Ivey. Play him the year and see what happens. That would be an interesting scenario. The problem is, I don't see it happening at all because Jaden Ivey was a top 5 pick. I don't think the Pistons are going to give up on him.
Yeah, I think the Pistons are they need scoring badly, bro, because they might lose if they lose Malik Beasley, and I know they replaced Malik Beasley with Duncan Robinson and some other guys, but it's and Karis LeVert. But Karis LeVert to me he's not going to provide that scoring gravity that CT does. You're not going to get double teams on Karis LeVert.
And was top 5 in the league in double teams per touch.
Yeah. Giving Cade, and we talked about this before, giving Cade that gravity and getting somebody else that could just draw double teams It's like that is what first of all, K needs spacing. He needs shooters around him. He needs guys that can shoot around him, but also he needs a guy that can create and that can draw double teams because we saw in the playoffs if everybody else was not if he's off, it's curtains. You're getting blown out because nobody else could really score.
Like the
So
games in the playoffs, like
mhm.
where they were like semi-competitive and Cade wasn't off, was off. It was like, oh, Tobias Harris and Dennis Schroeder were like cooking, and they were creating off the dribble.
Yeah, it's like,
And like,
bro, like you're not
granted,
gonna
they did a
survive with
decent job.
Tobias. Yeah.
They took the Knicks to 6 games, but they weren't winning that series.
And Tobias is not like he'll give you buckets, but it's he's not giving you Cam Thomas 24 kind of buckets. 24 like this man CT like he could drop 40 at a blink of an eye. Like that's different. That's not Tobias Harris esque, Um, but yeah, so that would be the first kind of mock trade. So let's
The
go.
the real quick, sticking on the Pistons,
Mhm.
the second scenario, which I kind of see like being possible, is that so it would be looking Malik Beasley. So Meek
Okay.
his investigation was dropped. He's free to sign with any team now.
Mhm.
The theory behind this would be, and look, Cam would still make the same amount of money, like the mid level. But the difference is he'd be on the Pistons, and then the Nets would be here, would get Malik Beasley and try to like flip him at the deadline for assets. And in exchange, the Pistons still get Cam Thomas, but not as high of a price. I
Oh,
don't
you
know
think
how like
this?
Thomas would feel about that, but it would be a different situation.
So you think they would trade, well, sign Malik Beasley just to trade him to for CT, like an option?
I don't know the exact
Mhm.
mechanics because there is a limit on how much they could sign from Malik Beasley.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, it would be something like that, or it would be like, hey, we'll give you Malik Beasley, and hey, just give us Cam Thomas. It might be like a backdoor thing like that.
Yeah,
I haven't worked out the mechanics, but it would be something along those lines.
yeah, that makes sense. Now some Nets fans are probably gonna watch this video and be like, "Well, we want draft capital." Saif, what about the draft capital? What can we get from the Pistons? Like if we're gonna give up CT, like Pistons fans are probably not gonna want to give up anything, but Nets fans are gonna want some type of
We're
value.
we're not getting anything
You think
because
we're not?
Cam, look,
Yeah.
he's coming off an injury. There's still questions about his game. Like he has a bad reputation, like personality wise, which
Mhm.
I don't agree with, but it's there for whatever reason. You're not getting the most you get is a couple of seconds. Like I wouldn't focus on that.
Okay, that's fair. So yeah, the next team we have Cam Thomas getting mocked to is the Milwaukee Bucks, man. So the Milwaukee Bucks are in an interesting situation. We don't know for sure if Giannis is really happy. I mean, they gave him Miles Turner, but I think they're trying to kind of go back to like the old school when before Giannis got like Drew Holiday and Dame. They're going trying to make Giannis like the main point of that team, kind of like a point forward that can just be a downhill force and draw double teams and just kick out the shooters. Like they're trying to put shooters all around Giannis. You think that's what the Bucks are doing this year? Because like
Yeah,
without Giannis on this team, it's basically just Kyle Kuzma and a bunch of randoms. Gary Trent. I mean, it's
they're basically saying, hey, Giannis and a bunch of good role players. Like
yeah,
that is it.
yeah. Like Giannis is the end all be all of this team, but giving him Cam Thomas is different because it's like he does have like unlike Dame. And Dame was a good scoring kind of off guy from Giannis, but unlike Dame, like CT could give you those. Like, was Dame really drawing double teams like that, bro? Was he really drawing double teams, or was he just people were just going off the reputation and
I mean, look,
yeah.
Dame still have like scoring gravity. He was still very good on the Bucks.
Mhm.
Uh, I know he definitely did lose a step while with Milwaukee. Like that is true. And I
Yeah,
think as a pure scorer, ignoring the passing capabilities that Dame has, like strictly putting the ball in the basket, I don't know. I think Cam Thomas is better.
yeah. Right now, I think Cam Thomas a better scorer because I'm just saying that because I think Bucks fans are going to be like, well, if we trade for CT, like what's the difference with the Dame Lillard? Like that's what Bucks fans are going to say about that. So um yeah, so with CT I think I know the mock trade had Kyle Kuzma in the trade. I know Bucks fans do not want Kyle Kuzma, um, and we probably would want some compensation because Kuzma, that's a nasty kind of salary. I don't know how many years are left on his salary.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 years. Yeah, 2 years, and he's getting paid a ton, and he's a very, very bad player. Like on probably every single team in the NBA would probably want some compensation for taking Kyle Kuzma back on their team, because that's just a nasty. It's just a nasty trade if you're giving up. We have to take Kyle Kuzma and give up CT.
Kuzma's making he's making 22 next year, and then after that he's making 20.
Okay, so
not the worst contract in the world, but it's like, look, it's a lot of money for Kuzma given how bad he's been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for the Nets to get a bad player that could help us tank. Like he is the tank commander. Like he was why the Wizards were as bad as they were. And you could actually get look, you're not going to get any unprotected draft assets, but you could get a protected Bucks first round pick in like 2031 or 2032.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we take back Kuzma, the Bucks should give us a 2031st like first round pick. Either a swap. I'll take a swap. I'll take an unprotected. I feel like, the Bucks are in win now mode, so giving up Kyle Kuzma and getting CT back, and you can give them another forward if they want, maybe like a Zaire or whatever. Because we probably might have to match unless they pay CT the money to match, but.
Well, the benefit here would be this would be like a pseudo salary dump.
Yeah. It'd be a salary dump. Yeah.
It would be like, I don't know, 3 years, 45 or 3 years 50. Cam is on the Bucks. Not as much money as he'd like, but he'd be on a winning team. He'd be getting a little bit more than what the Nets would be offering.
Yeah.
And the Bucks, they get a young scoring guard, that could help. How about with Giannis? That doesn't cost them that much money, and the Nets, they absorb Kuzma's money, and they get the first round pick. So I could see, so I could see that happening. But at the same time, I don't know if it was gonna happen, it would. Like, it's an interesting thought experiment. I think if it does happen, it would be like at the deadline.
Yeah.
If Cam Thomas ends up taking like what the Nets are offering, the 2-year mid-level exception, but if he takes the QO, then he's not tradable.
Yeah. So the next team we have is Cam Thomas and the Grizzlies. Now, this is an interesting team because the Grizzlies just lost Desmond Bane. I'm kind of curious to what the front office is doing in Memphis, because it's like they did have a good year. They made it to the playoffs, but it's like Ja, he was always fighting injuries. They ran into a juggernaut. The Thunder are just, it's hard to compete with the Thunder. Like, they're the championship team. They just got bulldozed. But Jaren Jackson continues to disappoint me, bro. Like, every single year, it's like you expect so much from him to take a leap. And the scoring wasn't too bad during the regular season, but like when he needed him most, it's just like he disappears. And we know what he's capable on defense, but it's like, bro, we need you to get buckets with Ja. So where do you see Cam Thomas fitting in with the Grizzlies here? Like, do you think, Grizzlies fans will be like, yeah, well, we would love Cam?
Yeah, okay. So they lost Bane, and look, Desmond Bane is way better than Cam Thomas.
Yeah,
maybe not as like an on-ball scorer, but he's almost as good, and he's a way better defender and a much better passer, or like decently better passer. With him, okay, I think the Grizzlies would be interested in Thomas as like a pseudo Desmond Bane, where it's like, okay, we could practice the pick and roll stuff, improve the vision, which Cam Thomas is improving as a passer, and he's a good 3-point shooter. There's this on-ball creation. I think he could fit with Ja. The defense isn't going to be great, but at the same time, they'd have Jaren Jackson. They have Aldama.
Yeah.
They could figure out the defense. And offensively, it's like, hey, he could be coming off the bench. He could be a pseudo starter. I see him being. I could see him being a spot-up guy. There's utility there. Like, I could see them needing like another on-ball creator next to Ja Morant, especially that Bane is gone.
Yeah, because I'm looking at their depth chart right now, and it says like they got KCP, but like they could probably, if they got CT, they probably would turn them into like a 6-man, because they have Ja Morant, KCP, Santi, Jaren Jackson and Zach Edey as their starters. So I'm
Well,
assuming
I
CT.
actually
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
kind of assume KCP would be in the trade.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. So maybe they would give up KCP. I'm thinking like who is the weakest link, and it's probably going to be somebody that I don't want to keep. I know Santi was. We thought they were going to let Santi Aldama go. Remember in the restricted free agency, and then they just like gave him bread. They gave him the money.
Yeah.
I
The
thought he was going to be the one, but
and
yeah.
real quick,
Mhm.
shout out Memphis. Like, good on them for doing right by Santi Aldama.
Yeah.
Because they could have easily did what like the Nets did to Thomas, what the Warriors did to Kaminga, Giddy and Grimes, and be like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna lowball you. Find another team to give you this money." And it would have been like he'd be unrestricted. He'd be restricted still. So, good on him for like paying him above the market and getting him on a good contract before, so he doesn't have to enter that. So that's worthy of praise for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, yeah, because I think like I'm looking at their team, and they definitely need some like wing depth. They need some wing depth. They need some power forwards, and they need some scoring punch off the bench. Because I'm looking at the second unit, it's Scottie Pippen Jr. Like, you need some type of scoring punch off the bench. Like you need that. So I think the Grizzlies would be a good team for Cam Thomas to get mocked to. Yeah. So let us know in the comments how you guys feel about all these teams. If you're a Grizzlies fan, or if you're a Pistons fan, if you're a Bucks fan, would you take Cam Thomas in a mock trade? Would you take him in a trade? What would be your trade package? Nets fans, how you feel about Cam Thomas? Do you think the Nets are going to trade him this season? It's getting a little kind of crazy. It's getting, Sean Marks and CT might be beefing right now. We don't know. We'll see. He hasn't been signed yet, so we'll see what happens. But let us know in the comments what your trade packages are for Cam Thomas and what would you like in return. Appreciate you guys so much. Hit that like button. We'll be back.